Happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and as is Tuesday tradition, we let Andy go talk about golf over on the BetSperts Golf channel, where they're going to pick the winner again this week. Those guys just have the magic crystal ball. And what are you doing for Valentine's Day, Matt? Is the girlfriend in town, or I can't
Yeah,
remember if the
we're
Bulls are in Chicago or not?
the Bulls are luckily off tonight, so we're just go out to a nice little dinner in the city. How about yourself?
Absolutely nothing. My favorite thing that my wife and I
Lovely.
give us every year is nothing. We write a nice card for each other. We go
Oh,
out for dinner. We order in dinner, and that's that.
what are you gonna order in for dinner?
It feels like a pizza night.
Yeah, I was a nice Valentine's Day pizza seems like a good idea to me.
Sausage, pepper, and onions.
Okay, I'm not a huge fan of the pepper and onions. I get it. I get why people like it. I'm just more give me a half sausage, give me a half pepperoni. That's my go-to. Two different types
Mm.
of meats.
You're a meat guy. I get it.
I am.
Ooh, Valentine's Day pierogies. Pierogies of love.
That sounds delicious.
It does.
That
I like
actually
pierogies.
does
Dan's
sound
been making some
delicious.
good stuff. They'll have to send maybe, I don't know if you can, tell people what he actually made for the Super Bowl. It was basically bacon wrapped cheese or something. It was
With
fantastic.
sausage in there too. It looked delicious. He sent us a picture. He described it on the show Friday. So if you really want to get like an
That's right.
image or a description of what it was, go back and watch Friday's show. But he sent us a picture of the finished product on Sunday, and it looked fantastic.
I mean, I guess quickly though, we didn't get your thoughts. What do you think of the Super Bowl? Anything to add to what has been said by everyone already? I assume.
No, it was a fantastic game. I'm glad it lived up to the hype. Shout out Connor Allen for hitting the Eagles first half, Chiefs full game. That's a fantastic winner right there. How'd you do in terms of your bets? Did you come out even? No, a little down, a little down.
It was it didn't help that Miles Sanders basically went out in the first quarter, but
Yeah,
all my sort of traditional first half no score under bets were they were done pretty quickly.
yeah, that was they came out a little bit faster than we thought, and the scoop and score there really kind of doomed everything. Even though it was still probably not on track, that was just the obviously the ultimate heartbreaker. I think I ended
Yeah.
up barely, maybe just a little bit. I lost the same game parlay. I did have the Chiefs. I got them at -2.5, so that was nice. I bought a few points there and got them at that alt line. And then I went with Travis Kelsey's over 78.5 receiving yards, which hit but barely. We got like 81, I think.
I can dig that. Well, as we start to look forward, we think about some of the other championships that are coming up here, and I mean the Chiefs. They're just about as much of a favorite. I mean, were they the championship? I guess the Bills were championship favorite for a lot of the
I
season,
think
but
I want to say the Chiefs were like third or fourth. Buffalo was definitely everybody's favorite, and the Rams were another team that was right up there with a top
the
three
early
favorite to
season,
repeat.
but as you got
Yeah,
towards the end. So we thought we'd take a quick look at kind of the favorites at this point for everything going forward. Heck, we even have the favorite here for the XFL. Good Lord, I had no idea how to even
you betting
talk
on the
about this.
Renegades, Noops?
Uh, I'm not even sure what they do, or I'll have to go back and look and see if they're one of the teams that has a quarterback. I remember, but it'll start with the NBA. The Celtics, I think they're probably deserving favorites to win the title. As I start to look at some of the numbers, I prefer maybe the Bucks. The Nuggets, it's going to be a tricky situation with how Phoenix looks. Be curious to see that, but the Bucks are lurking. The Bucks had kind of a tough month there. That's probably my favorite bet for the championship. But I get why the Celtics are plus 270.
Mhm.
Let's jump ahead. The Bruins plus 500. Are they the correct favorite? And it's not too big of a favorite.
They're the correct favorite, but like the NHL for me is just really, really hard to predict. Like the NBA, you can kind of narrow it down, and not as much in recent years, but you can kind of still narrow it down to the 3 or 4 teams that could probably win this thing. I mean, you run into a hot goaltender in the NHL, you're out of luck. I mean, you could be. We saw the Dallas Stars get carried to 7 games to against Calgary last year as a heavy underdog and a significantly worse team because they had the hottest goaltender in the world for 2 weeks. And if the Bruins are to run into a guy like that, I mean, it's tough, and that's why it is plus 500. I don't think I'd take that right now. I think I'd probably try and find a longer shot, but they are absolutely the right choice to be the favorites. I don't think they have 10 regulation losses yet this year, so they're playing some very good hockey.
I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know Houston was the favorite to win the college basketball championship? Because I did not. I would not
I
have guessed
didn't.
that.
I wouldn't. I knew they were one of them. I did not know you'd get them at the shortest odds. But now that I think about it, I'm not really sure who else you would get at the shortest odds because I know Purdue's a team now that has lost a couple times is number one, and what they do well doesn't necessarily line up with great tournament success. And Houston has had that tournament success the last few years. They've made Final Four, Elite Eight runs. They always seem like they're very tough out. They play really responsible defensively. That's That's an intriguing one for me. I think this could be a year where they finally get it done and get over the hump because there's not really that other dominant team waiting for them in the tournament that they've run into in years past. Like it was Baylor a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Alabama's currently number one, has kind of had a couple hot weeks, but like you said, kind of the experience for Houston probably pushes them to the top. Have you had a chance to look at a baseball yet? Is there really a team that, maybe should be ahead of the Astros? I mean, I'm sure the Yankees price is always screwed up because people just bet the Yankees
Yeah,
anyway, but
I
I mean, the
do like
defending champs,
Houston.
they should be okay.
I do like Houston. They are the defending champs. They did lose Justin Verlander to the Mets, but I mean they have a deep prospect system, and they're always a team that's in the mix to go out and add at the deadline. So I'm not worried about one their pitching because even without Verlander, it's still very good, and he spent some time on the coming off the Cy Young obviously last year, but he spent some time on the IL the year before with Tommy John, and they were pretty much just fine without him. Not that he's not very good, but they're just very very deep there, and they have a deep prospect system that they can go out and add another ace if they really really want to. And then they went out and added Jose Abreu to play first base, who not to say first base has been a hole in their lineup, but it's really been more of a position where they got someone hitting 5, 6, 7. And now you go out and add, the AL MVP from a couple of years ago with the White Sox, who's his power numbers tapered off a little bit last year, but he still hit around like 315, 316. He's still driving in runs, and I think the power correction is probably something that can come back. I think the entire White Sox lineup last year was very power deficient, so I think that might have been something going on with approach or coaching, whatever. I think he's going to make that lineup even more dangerous and that much better. So I really like Houston with that chance to repeat at plus 600. I think there's some good value there.
All right. Do you know what town the Renegades are in?
I'm
Town,
going to
it's not
say
quite a city.
Houston. No,
Close. Arlington. With all due respect, the Arlington Renegades and their quarterbacks, Kevin Anderson, Drew Plitt, and Kyle Sloter. I mean,
sure.
do you know who any of them are? Do you have any
We
idea
talked
who's
about
gonna
Kyle
start?
Sloter last week. Remember, he's had a couple cups of
Slow
coffee
dog.
on practice squads and as third stringers in the NFL. The other two, Drew Plitt, I believe we talked about, was a Maction quarterback who I'm not
Ball State,
remembering
baby.
where. Ball State, that's it. And Kevin Anderson, it sounds like a made up generic player.
Fordham.
Okay, sure. So
It could
made
be
up
made up.
generic
No one would
player that
check
they
that.
just put
No
on
one
that
knows.
roster. No one would look. You could have told me he played anywhere, and I just say sure, fine. So yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with the Renegade. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to flip the script here. Give me whoever has the longest odds to win the championship because nobody knows a damn thing about the XFL. So give me whoever has the longest odds. I think that's better value.
I like this. And it's been a little while since I've paid too much attention to college football or the NFL and backups. There are not a lot. There are almost no names on this Renegades team that I recognize. Jordan Smallwood at receiver. I remember him from Oklahoma State. I think
See, that name
was
sounds
Oklahoma.
familiar.
It does. Devontae Lambert. He looks big. I think you're right. I think it's hard to probably go with whatever the favorite is here. Again, it's one of those things where a lot of people will tell you that it's silly to bet on the XFL, but this is where the value is. When nobody knows, that's
Mm-hmm.
where you can start to find edges. So don't go out and attack it necessarily as hard as you do anything else. But if you take some time and you figure out a way to, kind of find an edge or something that's not built in there, I assure you that it's probably not. So it'll be interesting. That's all our favorites here. And let's jump into something that is, my favorite. Winning tennis bets early in the morning, and I just want to thank
You
you,
already
Matt.
won one today. I'm going to take this. I'm going to
I,
stop talking and let you congratulate me. Or no,
I
thank you.
do. I
Sorry.
want to thank you because just before I came on the show, Flash Score lied to me and told me that
Mhm.
Haddad Mai had won the set 7-5, closed it. I was excited. I opened it back up. They're still in the tiebreaker. Haddad Mai is blowing points. And Matt just calmly, without even picking up his head, just goes, "You're fine. It's going to win. It's okay." And she did it. Beatrice Haddad Mai, first set 7-6, cashed the correct score, first set over. She's now a huge favorite to win the match. Congrats to everybody that was able to ladder that up a little bit. What an excellent start to the morning.
I congratulate. There's no better way to start your morning than winning a bet. Like it's not even noon yet, and you're already in the green for the day. So congratulations on that. Um, Now, what do you have for us today so we can build on that? In Doha, do I know where Doha is?
The World Cup was there.
Okay, Qatar. I knew it sounded familiar.
When I said the World Cup was there, Andy still guessed it wrong. So that's good. You
What did
beat
Andy
Andy by
guess?
one. By one. I guess maybe we should play global. Two
Andy
totals
spent.
for us.
Andy had a long week in Arizona. I think the brain might have still been a little bit fried.
He did. He looks so cute though. He's all red and rosy because he
Mm.
didn't put on any suntan lotion. Two totals. One will be shortly here after the show wraps up. I believe it's the next matchup, actually after Badosa Haddad Mai. Daria Kasatkina going to play Rebecca Marino here, and in a tournament where again we've seen a lot of first set overs, but then a lot of very quick second sets. Historically, this is a pretty good tournament for unders, especially when you have some of these mismatches here. Now, this one could be a little tougher. Kasatkina, this will be her first match on these courts so far this year. Marino came through qualifying and already played a first round match, so has some good form here under her belt. But Kasatkina, the much better player here, and generally puts this kind of level of talent away. Thought about maybe playing the -3.5, but just give me the under 21.5. Just in the case that Kasatkina maybe isn't into it and somehow loses this match herself in 2 sets. But again, any match that you think is going to, start to take a look at some of these unders. They've been great. And then tomorrow morning, Coco Gauff overs are back. Not a full match over here, but Coco Gauff will be one of the first matches off tomorrow morning, so nice and early on the East Coast for you. Plays against Petra Kvitova in what should be, again, kind of what I described, what we've seen in this tournament. Very competitive first sets, a lot of 6-4, 7-5, 7-6s here, followed by some pretty quick second set. So the total is a monstrous 22.5, which is pretty close, honestly, to where I have it. I had it closer to 22 and was able to go through this morning, grab a first set over 9.5, -105. I'm looking here pretty quickly. That looks like that number is moved. I guess I got an early number on that. I would play that, honestly, anything -115 or better. I had that at a flat 10 myself. So poke around and look. There's a bunch of different prices here across, but yeah, 9.5 -15. And once they open up more, this is another one. Let's stack it up. I think there's a great chance we see 7-5 or 7-6. So get yourself an over 10.5, get yourself an over 12.5 when you have a chance. So Kasatkina Marino, again, that'll be up in the next 30, 45 minutes maybe, and then Kvitova Gauff tomorrow morning.
You're giving me a Coco Gauff over, and it's a morning bet, so I can start my day with a win. I'm in on both of them.
I knew it had to be an easy sell. Now, what do you got for
Little
me
little
here?
bit disappointed we didn't have a plus money. A little
I
bit
know,
but
it's tough.
-105 is close enough for me, so I'll give you that.
Maybe you'll be able to find something. The prices on those things range wildly, and again, the over 10.5 and 12.5 will be at nice big fat numbers, so you'll be fine.
That's fair. I got a pair of hockey bets today. We're starting to get back into the full swing here after the All-Star break. Do you remember how your crossover bets did? Did you check up on any of those? I think both of mine ended up missing. Thanks to the
Went
Eagles
1-0
pass rush not
and
showing up.
went 1-0 and 1. The doink cost us 2-0.
Oh,
Siakam only had, I think, like 28 points. The Chiefs had, again, 38. So that one was an easy winner. And then Jason Tatum made just 1 3-pointer. Harrison Bucker, just 1 field goal.
oh, yeah, the
To be
doink.
pushed.
That's tough. That's tough.
That'd have been a nice plus 265 in the pocket if he had made that. And, well, what are you going to do?
That's okay. I can try and help you make that back tonight on the ice, though, if you want me to.
Let's do it.
All right, I got a pair of bets. I got an under. A New York Islanders under 6 against the Ottawa Senators tonight is where I'm going to start. Little bit of a higher total. Usually with the Islanders, I talk about them a lot on here. They're a very good defensive team. They play a lot more of a slow, methodical pace, is trying to rush things. They play very good defensively, responsible in their own end, get good goaltending. Their last couple games, they've lost their last 2. They've allowed 6 and 4. So a little bit of a slump for them here, and I'm trying to get this better number 6 than what you usually get with them, which is more of like a 5.5. And I think there's some pretty good value here against an Ottawa Senators team that played last night at home against Calgary. I think there's a pretty good chance you see the Islanders, being the fresher team, kind of get to play their own way and take advantage of some tired legs there of the Ottawa Senators. And I think this is just kind of a slow game where New York kind of controls it, grinds Ottawa out. I do like them. I think their puck line was around plus 128. I opted for the under here too. I might sprinkle that puck line as well, though. I'm not too worried about the Islanders losing their last couple. I think they'll be just fine, and I think their style is going to prevail in this one. And then the second one, we're talking about the Kraken and the Jets. I'm taking the Jets -1.5 at plus 160. I talked about them the other day about they're my future at plus 950 to win the Western Conference. So we're a Winnipeg Jets podcast show, and in addition to our Orlando Magic. Jets are a little bit streaky right now, but they've won 2 in a row. They've kind of won 3, lost 3, won 2, lost 2. Hopefully they're turning this into a winning 3. Seattle, for as good as they've been this year at times, as nice of a story as they've been, they're not fully regressing to, being the type of team that picked 4th overall last year like we thought, but they are coming back to the mean just a little bit. Since that big 8-game winning streak they had, they're just 4-6-1. So, not awful, but not great either. They did beat your Flyers on Super Bowl Sunday 4-3, but really that's a game and a team that they should probably get by more than that. And I know I'm saying this just after the Islanders lost to the Flyers, but I like the Jets in this one at plus 160. I think that's really good value at home. Seattle's also played 4 times in their last 6 nights. That's a lot of hockey. So we're going to take the Winnipeg Jets here at that big plus 160 puck line. I like it a lot.
I like both of these quite a bit here, and I know that I like to be an over guy. I try to be more optimistic when I can, but I imagine there's more value in unders simply because a lot of people probably feel that way.
Yeah, I like overs too, especially in hockey. They're a lot more fun to watch. That's why I like taking the first period or the second period over. But for the game with this Islanders team, like you rarely see them at 6 goals. Or I should say their totals are at 5.5 more often than any other team. And the fact that you're getting an under at minus 110, the standard juice, I think is really good value to hop on and grab. Now, there's probably a reason for that, but I think with what Ottawa's coming out of, having played last night combined with the style New York's going to want to try and play, I think this lends itself to be a 3-1, 4-1 type game for the Islanders.
I can dig it. Now, you did mention our Orlando Magic, and we'll talk about them in a second. But
big win for them last night over my Bulls.
I know. Well, it's tough. It's tough.
All you can do is laugh.
It's not fun. This is not fun, but we'll see. 5 games tonight, and again, just a mess going on here. Boston, Milwaukee, some sort of injury, something going on in Boston. Just about everybody out tonight. Brown is out, Smart is out, Jason Tatum is doubtful. So hard to really even bet that game because the Bucks have been happy to rest guys. They're 9-point favorites right now. The total's at 225.5. Good luck if you can figure that game out. So you kind of have to cross that one out. Sacramento goes to visit Phoenix. Phoenix still a little bit shorthanded here, missing some of their guys, but starting to play much better basketball. Booker is back, so kind of have to trust them. They're only 3-point favorites, but just about right where my number had it. So happy to skip on that. Warriors, Clippers. Clippers big favorites here. Warriors on a back-to-back. Thought about maybe playing an over there. That number started to tick back up after being bet down this morning. And again, hard to know who the Warriors are going to play in a back-to-back. So if the Warriors have most of their guys out there tonight, I'll probably play an over again on that Clippers-Warriors game. And then Wizards-Bulls, both teams here on back-to-backs. Came up pretty close to my number of 3. But the bet we do have, the Orlando Magic are 7-point underdogs tonight in Toronto. Yes, they did play last night in Chicago. Not too long of a trip to get from Chicago to Toronto. And Orlando has played these Raptors well this year. This will be the 4th time they've played already this season. They're actually 2-1 straight up against this Toronto team who continues to be without OG Anunoby, which is just really problematic. It's a thin roster, and they're really leaning on a lot of guys that really aren't very good. And one of the advantages the Magic have is their depth. I think that second unit's going to be really good tonight. You go back and look again from a back-to-back standpoint. Yes, it is 2 road games, but short travel spot. The only guys who really played more than 30 minutes were the young rookies. Banchero should be just fine tonight, I think. And again, that depth is really going to shine through. I had this closer to 4.5, 5. So anything 6.5 or 7 looks great to me. Let's go Magic. I believe.
Amen. I like watching the Orlando Magic. They're fun. They're a fun young team that plays really hard. And they're not great yet, but like they don't ever really believe they're out of a game. Like they just play very, very fun brand of basketball. They're fun to watch. Maybe it's just me watching the exact opposite of how my Bulls play, and I'm maybe drawn to that a little bit more. But they're fun to watch.
Now, somebody's looking for some Champions League plays here, and Andy's not here. Usually Andy is better at the last-second random Champions League play. I don't know if producer Dan has anything in mind, but in my absolutely minimal wisdom here, I feel like we should just bet both unders.
I'm fine with that. It's soccer unders. I know we said we don't like betting unders. I actually don't mind betting soccer unders because I feel like they hit more often than not. I just like them.
It's a nice emotional hedge because you either get goals, which are fun, or you make a little money. So we'll sort of pull that one out of our hat. And again, Giorgio, maybe DM Andy. I'm sure he's floating around and we'll have something random. But yeah, let's take both unders. What the hell?
And officially lock it in from the Tuesday brown bag. That's true.
Thanks, everybody in the chat. Please give us a thumbs up. Drop a comment in there and make sure you subscribe. We really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with lots more. Best of luck until then.